Yeah, another subject of mass confusion and misinterpretation. Here's an area where my teaching differs from even most masters on the subject, because it's pretty much universal. You'll hear said, the ego must be destroyed, and it's been the foundation of almost every master's teachings. And I vehemently disagree with that. First of all, if you're created in God's image, then every part of you is of God. There is no part of you that is not of God. So why would any part of you need to be destroyed? I mean, that's the inherent premise of the fallacy in that teaching. So, well, that begs the question, what then is the ego? The ego, in essence, in its purest essence, is the driving force, the manifesting branch of the soul. It is the part of the soul which puts God's will into action. So it's the vehicle, the car. And what happens is, through the experience of living in this illusion of separation and receiving so many distorted imprintings and teachings from parents and friends and siblings and lovers and society, the ego takes on a personality, a distorted personality. And I used to always describe it as the separate ego personality rather than just saying ego. And what needs to happen is the ego needs to be reparented. It needs to be re-educated. It needs to be reprogrammed. Just like if you have corrupt software in your computer, you have to remove that and put in proper software. So the ego has been corrupted. The driving force of the soul that puts God's will into action has been corrupted, and then therefore everything you say, do, think, feel, touch through all your senses and activities is likewise corrupt and tainted by these distorted perceptions. In sync with that, on the flip side of the coin, there's another axiom or proverb that I speak, and that is, there is, as within the self, it is also true in the world. There is no part of this earth that ever needs changing. It's only our distorted perceptions of God's ever-perfect world that need changing. Many people are focused on, we've got to save the dolphins and save the rivers and stop this and stop that and do this and do that because the earth is dying, the earth will be destroyed. The earth is God. The earth cannot and will not ever be destroyed. Mother Earth, as the living embodiment of God, could shake the entire human species off her back in a millisecond. One asteroid impact would terminate the human race. One massive catastrophe, a mass, egoic eruption of country powers that throw off this huge world war of nuclear missiles. The world could end in seconds. Before I finish this sentence, this world could be over. So Mother Earth is merely tolerating the awakening and unfoldment of the human species like a wayward, recalcitrant child. Out of her infinite love for us and caring for us, she's tolerating our burgeoning divinity and doing what she can to guide that and shape that and mold that, and a little more forcefully where there's resistance, with the earth changes that are happening, because there hasn't been enough cooperation and loving action. The earth has to enter on our behalf. So it's the same within the human personality. The ego takes on these distortions and develops this personality that is so wayward and out of whack, out of alignment with truth and love and all its tenets, that it needs reparenting. So it's important to look at oneself as being whole and perfect, and then through a place of true honesty and self-accountability, seeing what parts of my psyche, my consciousness, my way of being and living are not emanating unconditional love. And then, as a warrior, go in and fix that, change it, and purify it into ones that are loving. Thoughts, feelings, words, ways of being, attitudes, behaviors. What do I mean by warrior? Yeah. When I say warrior, I mean strong, passionate, committed, honest, diligent, not this kind of mamby-pamby, be a victim and make excuses for myself and justify all the things I do by pointing fingers at others and making excuses, and well, it's her fault, and she did this to me, and my parents were so rotten, and you didn't know what it was like living in my house, my teachers were horrible, and nobody likes me, and my girlfriend left me, So, you know what this is? The world's smallest violin playing just for you. There's no one outside of self. There's just you. The whole planet is a hologram of thought, and the 7 billion people on it are the 7 billion reflections of you. So there are people, the mean, nasty, angry, hurt, lonely people are reflecting all those separate aspects of you, and the people, the saints and sages, are reflecting all those parts of you. So it's to look at everyone and everything in the world and glean from them, learn from them, reflect upon them. And that's what I mean by a warrior. I mean really, really honest and accountable, proactive, and not making excuses or being a victim. That's just the slow road. That's the slow boat, the slow road, the low road, and that's like, in the mouse wheel. You're not going anywhere until you can really live. There's nothing outside of self. I'm the only one on the planet, and everything is teaching to me, speaking to me, helping me become more of my true self, my true love, my true self, my true God self, whatever you want to call it. We're all the same. That's the way to go about it. That's what I mean by warrior. Not making excuses and being committed to that self-perfection. It's the highest path. People always want to talk about what's my dharma, what's my dharma. Every soul on the planet has the same dharma. No one's here to be a lawyer or a teacher or an artist or a painter or a cook or a policeman. Everyone's dharma is the perfection of the self. I mean, granted, you're already perfect in God's eyes, but in your own experience, perfecting as in purifying the self to become a walking emanation of unconditional love in all that you say, think, feel, and do at all times. And our souls, in concert with God, the lords of karma, our master teachers and guides in spirit, our whole little divine team, before each embodiment, your soul, as the captain of your ship, designs a package with all this divine guidance and input that's the perfect vehicle for you to attain just that, which then incorporates, will I be married or single, gay or straight, children or no children, famous or not famous, rich or poor, heavy or skinny, beaten or the oppressor, the oppressed or the oppressor. It's all perfect. And God doesn't view any of those as better or worse. The world does. The world has a lot to say about it. That's all the distortion. The world says rich is better. The world says white is better. The world says this religion is better. But in God's eyes, it's all equal. The street sweeper is no less divine than the neurosurgeon. The saint is no more in God's eyes than the axe murderer. Because every soul, in essence, if you took a blowtorch, a big divine blowtorch, like napalm, and just, burned away, seared away the outer shell, inside is the pure light of God in every single being. Just certain beings have more layers of sludge, pain, distortion, fear, anger, and that makes the outward expression look like what it does. But inside, there's the same flame of pure love burning. And the true lesson, the true test, is to insist on seeing that in everyone. That's the real sign of someone who's pure love or someone who's walking in mastery. Because the more you do that, the more you insist on seeing the Christ or the goodness in everyone, the more they become it. And that's the greatest magic, the greatest alchemy of all. And that's what masters do. And teach and model.
This may seem like a weird question.
So that's the best way I can describe the ego. So it's not out to destroy the ego. I don't want to destroy anything. Killing is not part of God's model. It never was. Loving. Living, loving. I'm just a God, man.